And
we use the
Salakia, Q. Hold on real
what?
quick, Tamario. Hey, Q. I was
What?
wondering if you could put that link up so we could show that the so-called white man is the deceiver, is the devil. With J.P. Morgan, when they were sitting there saying that Kanye West was anti-Semitic, but they sat there and had their hands when everything that Kanye West was talking about was literally in documentation proving who are really anti-Semitic and who really not, to prove emphatically that Esau is the devil. With the J.P.
Right.
Morgan and the Chase Bank, I was wondering if I could send that to you in the back, and you can post it up at the top.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
but
Yeah.
we, you know, y'all
that's
When
prove
we
things with scriptures, man.
Salakia,
Got to
real
be a
quick,
scripture
right?
on that. I don't think it's. I don't think that's.
but Tamario,
Well,
the point that
Salakia.
I'm making is that y'all you when I say y'all, I'm talking about like the people that always be like, oh yeah, Israelites always say, oh, the white man this, the white man that. We just talk about the heathen in general. It's y'all that put an emphasis on the white man.
Right.
When we say, oh, the Japanese or the Chinese or whatever, y'all don't give no reaction to that. But when we say, oh, and the white man, oh, he gonna get it the worst. That's when y'all ears puck up and y'all get to scrambling around like, hold on, wait a minute, the white man, wait a minute, not the white man, hold on. That's y'all that do that shit. It don't be us.
So,
And
like a Q, can I
Salakia.
bring out a couple
When
scriptures? All right.
Yeah, that's cool.
All right. Real quick, I just want to if somebody could grab Revelation 2 and 10.
this the
'Cause I want to make this crystal clear for Tamario so he'll never have to worry about why we teach what we teach or why we say what we say again. It'll be forever crystal clear in his mind.
this the book of Revelation, chapter 2 and verse 10.
Uh,
Fear none of those things which thou shalt suffer. Behold, the devil shall come and cast some of you into
excuse me,
prison.
Salakia. Tamario, during that time period, who was the devil that would have casted Christ's followers into prison?
Mm.
Um, I mean, Adolf Hitler.
No, no.
Which
So
one?
during that time period tomorrow, it would have been the Romans. So the Romans are the so-called Idumeans, right? The so-called Edomites, Caucasians, right? So when we say the devil that the Bible speaks of, the Bible calls them devils, bro.
So I think
Like,
is the kingdom of Edom is geographically speaking, it's not in in Europe
okay,
or
so let me ask you this, Mario. Edom, Idumea, Esau, the children of Esau, have they always been a people before they were a place?
um, but yeah, I would say so. Yeah, probably.
Okay, so geographical areas are named after where they had settled during that time period, but there were migration patterns, there were wars, there were areas that they took over, right? So just to be clear, I can prove with history and also with archaeology and also prophecy who the devil that the Bible speaks of is. I just showed you a scripture just to clearly show you the Romans in that time period would be the devil that the Bible spoke of, right? I can show you books that show you that those are the Edomites. So I just want to move from that point. But just to be clear, is God angry with wicked people?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So that having been said, if God is angry with wicked people as his followers, should we not also be angry with wicked people? Should we not hate what he hates?
Right, right. But according to the law, Deuteronomy 23:7, um, Edomites, because you brought them up, Edomites is an Israelite's brother, and after and the next verse 8, after the third generation, like those people are good to come in the kingdom, whoever they may be. So number one,
No.
No, Tamario. I'm
Can
sure.
someone,
I'm
Can
sure
you
you've
hold
had
on to
someone,
this
that, brother?
Slack,
conversation
Salaki,
before.
can we read that
this brother.
scripture?
He
No, hold on,
no,
hold on,
he's
hold on.
he's had that conversation before on I think on God First Game platform. They've already showed him what that means.
Right.
You know what that means,
Well, we
Tamario.
we could go
And
with y'all's philosophy on what that
Salakia,
means.
right?
I'm
But
just
but
going
So
by what
no,
it
you the
actually
bro,
one that
hold
says.
on,
have
hold on.
philosophy, Tamario.
Yeah, it's
so real
How
so
how
can
did
real
we
you
quick.
come to the conclusion that Edom was the wicked that the brother was talking about? Because I think that kind of just flew over brothers' heads, man. The brother didn't mention Edom; he mentioned the wicked. So, Tamario, how did you come to that conclusion?
Oh
Assumption,
no,
brother.
somebody definitely mentioned Edomites.
Mm,
That's I,
brothers mentioned. Hey, the brother's question literally was, "Is the Lord displeased with the wicked?"
oh yeah, absolutely. Anyone,
And you said, sure, but in Deuteronomy 23:7, right? The coon tenders done turned on, man.
So would you grab that Ak at Malachi 1 and 4? And I just want to bring out one more scripture to kind of drive the point home.
can we go to Deuteronomy 23:7 as well to get a
So
because
so so Tamario,
No, because we're talking about the wicked.
Tamario. So I'm gonna give you some homework. First and foremost, with that Deuteronomy 23 and 7, that's a clerical error. It should read Aram and translate as Syrian, first and foremost. So
Right.
just to be clear on that,
is
because
that your interpretation?
no, it's
No, it's
not. As a matter of
clerical
fact, I'm
error.
gonna show you. I'm gonna show you in the. I'm gonna put it in the room chat for you so you can see it. So you'll never have to worry about that scripture again. Because the actual characters in the actual word Aram and Adam, the Ra and the Da look very similar. So when it was transcribed, there was a clerical error that was done specifically there, because when it says your brother, you do realize that when Abraham and Isaac sent their sons to get their wives, they sent them to the countries of their brethren, which are the Syrians. So that's a clerical error, just to start with. But I just want to clear up that whole brotherly covenant situation for you. Can you get Amos 1 and 11 real quick, just to demonstrate that?
Con. What's that? You said Amos chapter what?
Amos 1 and 11.
This is the book of Amos, chapter 1 and verse 11. Thus saith the Lord, for 3 transgressions of Edom, and for 4, I will not turn away the punishment thereof.
Salakia, start at 9.
Verse 9. Thus saith the Lord, for 3 transgressions of Tyrus, and for 4, I will not turn away the punishment thereof, because they delivered up the whole captivity to Edom, and remembered not the brotherly covenant. But I will send a fire on the wall of Tyrus, which shall devour the palaces thereof. Thus saith the Lord, for 3 transgressions of Edom, and for 4, I will not turn away the punishment thereof. Because he did pursue his brother with the sword, and did cast off all pity, and his anger did tear perpetually, and he kept his wrath forever.
So that brotherly covenant, just to be clear, they violated. So now, if you want to, if you want to say that that's them, written at Deuteronomy 23 and 7, that brotherly covenant was violated, and we see that clearly here at Amos 1 9, 11. Now, if we could go to Deuteronomy chapter 29 and verse 15, we go right into the book of Deuteronomy and show you that that brotherly covenant definitely not Edom.
This is the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 29. And you said verse. So, like, yeah, what verse you said? 29 and verse.
Salakia, I'm gonna go there with you because I just want to grab. I want to get there with you and see exactly what I want. Um, Salakia, I think it's 25. I want.
This is the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 29 and verse 25.
No. I said 20. I said 25. 25. I want 25 and 19.
This is the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 25 and verse 19. Therefore it shall be, when the Lord thy God have given thee rest from all thine enemies round about, in the land which the Lord thy God has given thee for an inheritance to possess it, that thou shalt blot out the remembrance of Amalek from under heaven, thou shalt not forget it.
So now, Tamario, this is a scroll, but it's 2 chapters later from what we just, you wanted to bring out in Deuteronomy 23 and 7. Who is Amalek?
I'm not sure exactly.
Okay. Can you get that in Genesis 36, I believe, and 8?
This is the book of Genesis, chapter 36, and verse 8. Thus dwelt Esau in Mount Seir. Esau is Edom.
All right, jump down to 12.
Verse 12. And Timnah was concubine to Eliphaz, Esau's son, and she bare to Eliphaz Amalek.
Okay,
These
so is Amalek Esau, Tamario?
Yes.
Okay, and in Deuteronomy chapter 25 and 19, did we just read that with a blot out Amalek?
Yes.
Okay, so then does that mean to kill Edomites?
Uh, I don't think we read that, but
So the point is Amalek Edom or Edomites?
yes.
Okay, so are we being told here at Deuteronomy 20, 25, and 15 to kill Edomites right after reading Deuteronomy 23 and 7? Yes or no?
Hang on. What was that scripture again? Let me read that again.
Okay, so we just read. Whenever they say whatever's that scripture, just so y'all know that's either a cricket moment or a cut. Deuteronomy 25 and 19. We just read it to blot out Amalek. I asked you who Amalek was, you did not know. So I brought you to Genesis chapter 36 and verse 12 to show you that Amalek are Edomites. They are the grandchildren of Esau. So it's clearly not Edom at Deuteronomy 23 and 7, because literally 2 chapters later, we're told to kill Edomites.
And
Once,
out of
Hang
my
on. What does blot out the remember? What does blot out mean? What does that mean exactly? I really.
all right, let me show you the original stating of that. Let's go to Exodus chapter 17 and 16.
God.
Classic precept.
Because Deuteronomy is just a restating of the law 40 years after it was given. This is now the generation that's about to go into the promised land. So it's being restated before they go in, so they understand all the law, statutes, and commandments in the promised land. So now let's read it where it was originally stated at Exodus 17 and 16, so we can sound this down.
God. This is the book of Exodus, chapter 17, verse 16. For he said, because the Lord has sworn that the Lord will have war with Amalek from generation to generation.
So what is war, Tamario?
That's fighting. Yeah, fighting.
Okay. Do people die in war?
Yes.
Okay. If you have war with the people, are you killing them?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
So when we're told to block them out, we're told to utterly destroy them.
Well,
So are we told to utterly destroy Edomites here?
no, that's not what that means, brother. I'm looking up the definition right now. It doesn't mean to kill. That's a bit extreme, and I don't know that it should be interpreted that
Wait,
way.
so war, when it comes to war, people just come out with black eyes? Is that what you're saying?
No, what I'm telling you is
So
in
people
Deuteronomy.
die in war, correct?
Yeah, but in Deuteronomy,
People kill in war, correct?
I understand that.
So what are you talking about?
So can we get it at Samuel chapter 15 and 3, where this was actually acted out, and we can see what Saul failed to do, but what he was actually told to do. Can we get that?
This is the book of First Samuel chapter 15 and verse 3. Now go and smite Amalek and utterly destroy all that they have, and spare them not, but slay both man and woman, infant and suckling, ox and sheep, camel and ass.
So now what does it mean to blot them out here, Tamario?
Well, I don't think it said blot them out here, but
It
this
said
one.
it at Deuteronomy 25 and 19, right? But we're seeing it's actually happening. The command is giving in being specific, right? So specifically, what's the command here at First Samuel chapter 15 and 3?
Well, no, that one right there is clear. However, that was prior to the good news being delivered by Christ and Christ's disciples. There was good news and that came with grace and amendments. And
Okay. So did Christ go to Edomites?
I think that he did. I know that Paul did.
Book
Um,
chapter verse.
where Paul did.
Yep.
Um, yeah, I got you, man. No worries.
Here comes Google.
Yeah, Google real fast, and then and hey, what I want you to do, Gabar, if you
Con,
could hold Zephaniah 9 and 13.
con,
When y'all done with the precepts, just can y'all allow me a
Zach,
brief?
Zechariah 9 and 13.
con.
As a matter of fact, you could even start. Yeah, you could start at 13. That's what I want. But yeah,
con.
just hold that because whatever he brings out, I'm waiting for him to bring out something with some Greeks, and we can go ahead and get rid of that.
Hey, Kawan, you wanna know something funny?
What's up?
Tamario said he ain't even come in here for smoke.
But you know what though? When you
Y'all caught him out there, Akim. Y'all caught him out there bad, man. But yeah, let him see if they can find that.
Yeah.
Kawan, you have a knack for creating long cricket moments, my lot.
listen, all praises to the Most High. I'm waiting for Samario to come with that scripture that's showing Christ.
Oh,
Go,
Romans 11 and 13. No, not Christ. Paul.
okay,
Romans.
so hold
Romans.
on, so hold on, so you because you said Christ gave grace, right? So you're conceding to what you said that you can't show us Christ giving
Well,
Edomites
I'm not
grace.
sure if Christ did it directly because that was your question. I know that Christ, he brought amendments when he made a distinction in, I believe, both Matthew and Mark, where he made a distinction between the first two and greatest commandments, that as long as people follow those two distinct and greatest commandments, meaning greater than all other commandments, it literally says that is the grace that Christ gave. Paul taught that was the good news, i.e., the gospel. So that's yes.
Okay,
So
so I like the fact that you said that because so you're saying that Christ brought two distinct laws, right? Can you show me where
He
those are?
made the distinction. He said, love
Can you
love
show me?
God
Can you?
with all your heart,
Okay.
and the second one is loving thy neighbor as you would love yourself, and these two
Uh-huh.
are greater than all the other commandments.
So those commandments, did Christ come up with those?
I would imagine that God came up with them, but Christ was he presented it.
So okay, so if God came up with them, then what? Why are you saying that Christ is making them now in the New
Well, Christ
Testament?
has
If God came up,
authority. He's an authoritative figure, so authoritative man, and just what and he said that they said, Master, which of the commandments are the greatest? Like it was a direct question by one of the
uh-huh,
scribes, and
uh-huh.
he answered it cleanly. And it's two different. It's both in Saint Matthew and in Mark. It's this is outlined in two places in the Bible.
Uh-huh. Okay, so let's do this then. Can you get Leviticus 19 and 17 real quick? because I want to show Tamario something, just so we can be clear.
Before you go into that precept, Malak, can I
Con.
ask Mario a question?
Let
Let's
me well, I don't want to take him off track because we kind of like he already diverted from his point in that he was going to show Edomites getting grace, which he can't do. So now he's saying that Christ changed the law.
con.
So I want to keep him right here, and we're gonna poke some holes in the box so he can breathe. But we're gonna go ahead and get him out of here right here. Let's go to Leviticus chapter 19 and 17.
This is the book of Leviticus, chapter 19 and verse 17. Thou shalt not hate thy brother in thine heart.
Uh-huh.
Thou shalt in any wise rebuke thy neighbor
Right.
and not suffer sin upon him.
Okay. And can you get just real quick before we even go to the other one? I just want to know who is the neighbor here to Mario?
Wow.
Who who was the neighbor, brother?
Who's the neighbor there that we're
Ooh.
talking about? We're in Leviticus 19 and 17. Who's the neighbor?
Y'all, man, who is the name? Just tell me, brother.
Read the next verse. All right.
Thou shalt not avenge nor bear any grudge against the children of thy people, but thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself. I am the Lord.
So are the children of thy people in this context Israelites, Tamario?
Uh, yeah, it sounded like it. Yes.
Okay. Can you get Deuteronomy 6 and 4 real quick? Just read
Come,
that for Tamario.
come. This is the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 6 and verse 4. Hear, O Israel, the Lord our God is one Lord.
Read 5.
And thou shalt love the Lord thy God with all thine heart, and with all thine soul, and with all thy might.
So in this context, is this the God of Israel that's being spoken about here?
Absolutely.
Okay. And this is this being spoken to Israelites?
Well, you have to understand that when these like Paul demonstrates, I believe in Corinthians, how when he goes to a place, whether that's Colossae or whatever, he'll have they'll do like a setting with Israelites first, and then he'll do a second one with everybody else, with the people that now have grace through Christ.
So what you're saying is that when he was writing to the Corinthians, he was writing to Edomites?
Yeah, he cleanly states this in First Corinthians chapter 9, verses I believe 18 through 22. He kind of
Okay.
he kind of
Okay.
gives an idea of his teaching style. He
All right. I
What?
like that you went there. Would you go to chapter 10?
let's go there, brother.
Yeah, so if you tomorrow I want you to read this. Would you go to First Corinthians chapter 10 and verse 1 and read that?
Here comes the Google.
Yeah, I was gonna intercede, Kalam, but I see you
All right, First Corinthians chapter 10, verse 1.
Mhm.
Moreover, brethren, I
Okay,
would not.
we're gonna take this real slow. Don't mind me. I want to make sure you understand this passage here because this letter was a letter. There was no chapter, there were no verse divisions, right? That was all instituted later. So you were talking about what was in 9. I want to kind of go into what's in 10 because it kind of gives you a little more context, right? So these brethren here, you're saying these are Edomites?
What I'm saying is Paul himself had two different styles. He had a congregation where he's preaching to Jews, and then he has a separate one where he's talking to Gentiles, as he's a minister of Gentiles, as he professes himself that's in Scripture, and it's separate settings. So it's just and Paul is a great writer, so you just have to understand kind of how Paul gets down. Like he was definitely a Hellenized brother, so he's just a great writer in that sense. So you just have to
So you
like,
said he's a minister to Gentiles. Could somebody get Galatians chapter 2 and verse 7 real quick?
God, God. Salakia, bear with me.
The pages are sticking together.
Ain't they? New
You
sword,
gotta
new
iron
sword.
your pages. You gotta use the towel and
No,
iron
he
your
gotta
pages.
lick his finger. That's what he gotta do.
Hey, this a new sword, man. Like, bear with me, man. Galatians what?
Galatians 2 and 7.
This is the book of Galatians, chapter 2 and verse 7. But contrary wise, when they saw that the gospel of the uncircumcision was committed unto me,
Okay, so
a-
this is Paul speaking, Salakia. He said that the gospel of the uncircumcised, so uncircumcision was committed to him, right? Go ahead, read.
as the gospel of circumcision was unto Peter,
Okay, so Tamario, the gospel of the uncircumcision was committed to Paul, right?
yes.
Okay, so who is circumcision for to begin with?
Um, I mean, I don't know if
dang,
Israelites cornered the market on that because they did that in other cultures as well. So I
what?
mean, I don't know. I'm
Genesis chapter 17. Salakia, we got
Lord.
because Tamario, come on, man, you gotta study a little bit more than this, man. This is bad.
well,
So like,
according to Herodotus, like the Egyptians practiced circumcision. So that's what I'm saying. Like I just have a broader lens as far as like who gets credit for that.
all right, let's go to Genesis chapter 17 and 10,
This is
and
the book of Genesis, chapter 17 and verse 10.
mm-hmm.
This is my covenant, which ye shall keep between me and you, and thy seed after thee. Every man child among you shall be circumcised,
Mm-hmm.
and
11.
ye shall
You got
and
it.
ye, and ye shall circumcise the flesh of your foreskins, and it shall be a token of the covenant betwixt me and you.
So now hold on. So Tamario, who is this covenant for? Who's being spoken to here?
Oh no, it's for Israelites, brother.
So this is Abraham and his seed that the covenant of circumcision is for, right?
Yes.
So if someone is uncircumcised and Peter was committed to those individuals who are circumcised, and we trying to get everybody else circumcised, or wouldn't those also be Israelites that we're trying to get in the covenant?
All right. I got you. So let me not necessarily, and I appreciate the fact that you went to First Corinthians chapter 10, but let me just, if I could, let me just read the scriptures that I have in chapter 9. Just because it uses interesting language here, that because I don't want us to use our own personal philosophies and interpretation on Paul's style. I want Paul to speak for himself. First Corinthians chapter 9, verse 19.
Okay.
For though I be free from all men, yet I have made myself servant unto all. ALL. It says all, that I might gain the more. And unto the Jews I became as a Jew, that I might gain the Jews. To them that are under the law, as under the law, that I might gain them that are under the law. To them that are without law, as without law, being not without law, to God, this first covenant, this circumcision that you speak of, um, but under the law to Christ, that I might gain them that are without law. So he ministries to uh, Edomites, Gentiles, people that are not under God's law, but got the grace of Christ and those amendments, and he's able to teach to those outsiders as well. So, and that's from him directly. That was crystal clear. It's kind of clean,
Yeah,
and
I love that scripture because it kind of brings out the point that we literally do have two ministries, the circumcision and the uncircumcision, right? We just kind of read that at Galatians chapter 2, right? But I just want to kind of keep reading because then it'll help you to understand. Now you said that there's some Edomites here somewhere, like a split division in this congregation or something, like there's a wing somewhere for Edomites when Paul's talking to all his brethren here, as you said, right? So because it said all men, right? But then here in 10:1 it says moreover brethren. So would you say that these are all his brethren here?
well, because Paul walks in the spirit of Christ, like all all men that follow the law are his brothers. So I mean that's just my lens, brother. Like
All right,
I'm
so
not
yeah,
gonna
I'm gonna walk
I'm
with you, but I want you to keep reading that 10:1. Keep reading that 10:1 at First Corinthians, because you're right there.
all right. Moreover, brethren, I would not that ye should be ignorant how that all our fathers were under the cloud, and all passed through the sea, and were all baptized unto Moses in the cloud and in the sea, and did all eat the same spiritual meat.
So now hold on. So who was baptized into Moses in the cloud and in the sea?
Yeah, this would be Israelites.
Okay, so he's saying all our fathers. Is that what it says there in verse 1? All our fathers.
Yes,
So that's everyone that this letter is being written to, right?
that's correct.
Okay, so then all our fathers passed through the Red Sea with Moses, right? Keep reading that. And at 4,
And did all drink the same spiritual drink, for they drank of that spiritual rock that followed them, and that rock was Christ.
oh, okay. So, all right. So he's saying that Christ is in the wilderness, that angel that had the Most High's name in him. Okay, I like that. So keep reading that 5.
But with many of them God was not well pleased, for they were overthrown in the wilderness.
Okay, so they were overthrown in the wilderness. Who was overthrown in the wilderness?
The ones that were with Moses, um, not all of them made it, I guess.
Were Edomites overthrown in the wilderness?
According to this passage, no.
Oh, were Moabites overthrown in the wilderness?
I would say no.
Ammonites?
You made your point, brother. I
I'm
got
just
you.
saying, I gotta make sure with you, man,
No,
because you.
no. This right
So,
here.
all right, so it's the Israelites that were overthrown in the wilderness, right?
Yes.
Okay, so then all our fathers that passed through the sea with Moses and were overthrown in the wilderness, right? So this is Israelites that's being spoken about here in First Corinthians. Now, just to sound a point home about the gospel, because somebody grabbed from me Hebrews chapter 3 and verse 15, because we're going to talk about this event of being overthrown in the wilderness.
I'm here. I got you. I
Come,
paused the
come,
game.
come,
Hebrews
come.
3, verse 15, and it reads thus. Yeah, my bad. I thought somebody was gonna read. I got you back. NT
Come on,
Cat
come on.
right. The
Like a
book of
Cadillac with a diamond in the back. Go ahead, Art.
God. Um, in the book of Hebrews, chapter 3, verse 15. While it is said today, if we will hear his voice, harden not your hearts as in the provocation.
Right, read.
For some, when they had heard, did provoke. Howbeit, not all that came out of Egypt by Moses.
Right, we just read about that in First Corinthians. They passed through the sea. They came out of Egypt with Moses. But what happened in 17?
But with whom was he grieved 40 years? Was it not with them that had sinned, whose carcass fell to the fell in the
Right, so
wilderness?
we had those who lusted over the meat with that mixed multitude in Numbers 11, and then also our people in Numbers 14 and 29. It was told that that generation was going to die off before they went into the promised land. Keep reading 18.
And to whom sware he that they should not enter into his rest, but to them that believe
Read.
not? So we see that they could not enter Slakia. So we that they could not enter in because of unbelief.
Now read 4:1, because once again, this is a scroll. There's no chapters, there's no divisions. So keep reading. 4:1.
Let us therefore fear, lest a promise being left us of entering into his rest, any of you should seem to come short of it.
Verse 2.
For unto us was the gospel preached.
Say that again.
For unto us was the gospel preached,
Uh-huh.
as well as unto them.
Unto who?
Unto them.
So the gospel was preached unto the Israelites in the wilderness. Interesting. Tamario, where was the gospel preached in the wilderness to the Israelites?
Well, we just, I mean, it was in the wilderness, brother.
Okay, but what I'm saying is there more than one gospel?
Well, yeah, because that event is not referring to the Gospels, because the Gospels were taught by, um, of course, Christ Himself, Paul, um, John, all of the rest of the disciples at a later point in time in history.
Read Hebrews 4 and 2 again.
Con, from the top, the book of Hebrews,
4
chapter
and 2.
4, and
4 and
verse
2.
2.
Yep.
For unto us was the gospel preached.
Uh-huh. Who is the us, Tamario?
Israelites.
Okay, so yeah, so this is the book of Hebrews, right? So clearly it's Israelites there, right? So unto us, this is the people that the writer of Hebrews is talking to, right? Read.
As well as unto them.
As well as unto them. So the same gospel was preached unto them. Who is the them, Tamario? Who do we just read about from 3:15 down? Is it not the Israelites that fell in the wilderness?
Yes.
Okay. So in all contexts, the gospel was preached to who?
All right. That would be Israelites. Yeah.
Okay. So let's talk about what that gospel is that was preached in the wilderness, because it'll help us to understand the gospel that not only the prophets taught, and also Christ and his disciples and apostles. Let's go to Deuteronomy chapter 30.
All right, Con, let me put this down real quick.
Hey,
The book of
Salakia, I just
Deuteronomy.
want to let y'all brothers know real quick. Salakia, just want to let y'all brothers know we're gonna be closing the room soon.
Con,
You know what I'm
con,
saying?
con.
Within like,
I'm gonna jump right to the chase for you.
all right, no sweat, no sweat. I just want to let
Yep.
y'all brothers know.
Con, con.
The book of Deuteronomy, chapter 30. And you want me to start at 1?
Yeah, start at one just to kind of get an idea of what the gospel is.
Con,
And you got to read fast because we about, like I said, the brother's gonna shut it down. We just gonna run through it real quick.
no sweat. And it shall come to pass when all these things are come upon thee, the blessing and the curse, which I have set before thee, and thou shalt call them to mind among all the nations, whither the Lord thy God hath driven thee.
Okay, so the reason why they're being driven out is because of the curses. When you read in Deuteronomy chapter 4 and 27, it talks about how we would be scattered into all nations. This is why Paul had to go into areas like Corinth, Colossae, Galatia, to actually do ministry there, because there were uncircumcised Israelites that needed to hear this gospel because they had been driven into the farthest corners, right? Keep reading it too.
God, and shall return unto the Lord thy God, and shall obey his voice, according to all that I command thee. According to all that I command thee this day, thou and thy children with all thine heart and with all thy soul.
We just read that in Deuteronomy chapter 6, 4 and 5, right? That's the greatest commandment. So once we start doing that, as well as loving our neighbors, now what's going to happen in verse 3? Go ahead, read
Then the
fast.
Lord thy God will return the captivity
Uh-huh.
and have compassion upon thee,
Uh-huh.
and will turn and gather thee from all the nations
Uh-huh.
whither the Lord thy God hath scattered thee.
Yeah, so for our obedience, we're going to be gathered from the nations where we were scattered to. So your understanding is skewed, because Edomites are not going to be gathered out of the nations, because they were not the ones that were scattered. It was the Israelites that were scattered that are getting gathered, right? Matter of fact, get that real quick at Ezekiel 39 and 23. Matter of fact, I get it. So you stay right
God.
there. Because I know these brothers want to keep it moving. So we're gonna do this real quick. Ezekiel 39 and 23. It said, "And the heathen shall know that the house of Israel went into captivity for their iniquity, because they transgressed against me. Therefore I hid my face from them, so I gave them into the hand of their enemies. So they fell all by the sword." Keep reading in verse 4.
Verse 4. If thine be driven out unto the outmost parts of heaven, from thence will the Lord thy God gather thee, and from thence will he fetch thee.
That's why Paul had to go into these other countries, because we were scattered. Keep reading 5.
And the Lord thy God will bring thee into the land which thy fathers possessed, and thou shalt possess it, and he
Right.
will do thee good and multiply thee above thy fathers.
Now, here's the key to Mario. You're not going to be able to show me anywhere in prophecy where the other nations are getting inheritance of our land. That's part of the gospel. That's part of the covenant that was made with Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob and their seed only. So that land inheritance is part of that gospel. And you're not going to show me no Edomite getting a part in our land. As a matter of fact, if you read Ezekiel 36 and 5, it shows that there's a punishment for that. Keep reading 6 for time, speed.
Verse 6. And the Lord thy God will circumcise thine heart and the heart of thy seed, to love the Lord thy God with all thine heart and with all thy soul, that thou mayest live.
Right. That circumcision of the heart is only for the Israelites. When you read Deuteronomy chapter 10 and 12, that circumcision of the heart is only for us. When you read that in Ezekiel 11 and 15, that circumcision of the heart is only for us. That's not for the other nation. Keep reading in verse 7. This is the dagger right here.
And the Lord thy God will put all these curses upon thine enemies,
Uh-huh.
and
So
on them.
so hold on, Salakia, Tamario. Who are the enemies of the Israelites?
The other nations.
Okay, so you got your Edomites, your Moabites, your Ishmaelites, your Hagarenes, your Philistines, all of these other nations that put us into captivity. Read that again in verse 7.
And the Lord thy God will put all these curses upon thine enemies,
Uh-huh.
and on them that hate thee, which persecuted thee.
Right. So there's your Isaiah 14, 1 and 2. There's your Jeremiah 30 and 16. There's your Ezekiel 25 and 14. All of these curses that we had to go through, the slavery, the land theft, the heritage robbery, all of these things are going to go upon our enemies. That's the gospel, Tamario. So there's no Edomite that's partaking in this gospel, because the curses are going to be on them when Christ returns. I yield.
Trying I yield to.
And because the brothers are about to close the room, I'm gonna yield as well. I hear you on that, brother. I will say there was more than one covenant. There's two covenants, but I'll yield with that. I take your point,
I
brother.
need you to
Hey,
do me a
read
favor,
Hebrews 9 and 15 real quick, and then we done.
and I want him to take the chance to get that to look at that article and the link to try to take that and see where we coming from or what we talking about as well in the book
Con,
of
read
Romans.
that real quick. Hebrews 9 and 15 real quick.
Okay, kind. The book of Hebrews, chapter 9, verse 15, and it reads, "And for this cause he is the mediator of the New
Who's the
Testament
mediator of the New Testament,
that
Tamario? Okay,
Christ.
so Christ is the mediator of the New Testament. Read.
that by means of death for the redemption of the transgressions that were under the first testament."
Okay, so who was in the first testament, Tamario?
Israelites.
Okay, so it's for the redemption of the Israelites that Christ died, the ones that are under the first testament. Read it from the top again.
And for this cause he is the mediator of the New Testament, that by means of death for the redemption of the transgressions that were under the first testament,
Read.
they which are called might receive the promise of eternal inheritance.
Right. So Christ came literally for those under the first testament. So if you weren't under the first testament, how you gonna get into the second one? I'll leave you with that one, Tamario.
Oh yeah, no, that's a good point. But just like our Constitution, where once upon a time it was written that me and us on this stage were probably 3/5 humans. That was amended, and amendments is
Are
like
we still
law,
three
right? Like
fifths of a
you,
man?
no, they were amended, and that's same thing with scripture. Christ is not teaching anybody not to follow the laws, but that's why he was sacrificed, because he paid the debt of those that were not under that first covenant. Like it's Christ's blood, is how they
Can
get
you
it. And that's
show me scripture? Because we literally just showed you if you wasn't under the first testament, you can't get in the second.
no, I mean
So
not
like
that
I'm
because
still
it'll
stuck
take me
where he
too
said
long. I
that
want
we're
to
not.
prolong it, man. So I'll catch you on the rebound with that, brother. Just
Don't run because you said two things. I ain't even deal with the three fifths of the man. I kept it scriptural because you
God,
lied twice just now. Don't run.
No, you got it, Doc, man. Man, listen, I don't want no smoke. I didn't even want this smoke at all, bro. You got it,
All right,
man. You got
all
it,
right,
bro.
man. All right. He's yielding.
man, he better have
All
after
right.
saying that 3/5 of a man, man. Salakia, man. That's crazy.
All right. So with that, want to thank y'all for supporting Truth Mafia. If you haven't already, make sure y'all follow the club. Just hit the greenhouse up at the top. Make sure you follow all the moderators. Special shout out to Elder Tara, for giving us his wisdom, the wisdom of the scriptures, and building with us today. A shout out to all the other brothers. You
All
know,
praises, man. All praises.
all praise to the Most High. WFI, HOI, RGG. Shout out to y'all brothers. Thank everybody that came up on the stage, everybody that support us, man. We love y'all. It's our hot desire that Israel shall be saved, man, during to the end. We in these last days. I want to say Kwame Ashala. Shalom.
Kwame
And
Ashala.
Yeah,
Allah.
I did
Shalom.
Hey,
want to say
Hey,
Shalom.
one
hey,
thing, like I
real quick.
always
Hey,
say.
Q.
Um,
You coming to New York? Real quick, Q. You coming to New York?
Nah, I told my brother I couldn't
On
make it to
December
New
1st?
York. I couldn't make it this time.
All right. God.
Yeah, I definitely would have popped out. What you wanted to say, GK, before we shut the room down?
all right, Salaki, I just wanted to say this, man. To all the people that we have art with or have art with us, if you're our brothers and sisters, we still love you, and we would hope that you will open your eyes, stop following false philosophies and these false preachers, teachers that are teaching you and leading you down the wrong path. and open the book, open your eyes, and listen to what we're trying to tell you. Follow God's law, statutes, and commandments. And that's all I wanted to say. Shalom, Kwam Yashala.
Hey, Shalom, King.